This is going to be a quick summary of the Champions Cup quarterfinals that happened at the weekend, and also a brief look ahead to the semi-finals. If you want more details on each of the games, I have individual videos on those, so go check them out if you would like. I was going to include some stats in this video, but I realized once I started putting them together that I've collated a lot of stats, and it's better for that to be in a separate video, so look out for that coming tomorrow. Okay, so let's get going with this one. The first quarterfinals was Leinster 54, Leicester 24. We had an early double for Gary Ringrose. He had a very, very special game for them. Then Leinster scored 5 more tries in the second half. We did have a couple of late tries for Leicester, but never really, putting Leinster under any real pressure in terms of the result. Leicester found it very difficult against this Leinster side, and I think that team still needs more work to be able to compete at this level. Obviously a very good team, but when you get to this stage of the Champions Cup, really it is like the very, very best of the best. Next then we had Toulouse 54, Sharks 20. It was 14-10 at half time, so fairly close. Sharks still within a converted try with less than 30 minutes to go, but then we have 4 tries from Toulouse in the last 25 minutes, and it just stretched away from them. MacLeod got himself 2 tries, and that was really weird because he came back on, even though it definitely looked like he knocked himself out in a tackle, and he'd already gone off for his HIA by the time the referee gave the yellow cards. The referee actually gave the yellow card to the guy who come on for, temporarily for him for his HIA check. So hopefully, there's not going to be long-term repercussions from that, but hopefully the guy is okay. Also, we had Ramos got a double as well, and he did crazy soccer pass on his own line. If you haven't seen the video of that, I'm sure it's somewhere on the internet, probably on YouTube. Have a look. Basically, it's a long punt down, and he goes back to retrieve the ball. He sees that someone is coming to put pressure on him, so he just nonchalantly soccer kicks it over to Enter who then clears. We also had, with the Sharks, I think they did well in their debut season, but this was probably a step too far for them. But I think for the South African teams, it's all about learning in this competition how the competition steps up as you progress further and further. What was good enough to get out of the pool or win in the last 16 just isn't good enough to make a semi-final. So, it's a harsh lesson for them, but I think they'll be a better team for the experience. Toulouse, though, looking imperious, and as a Leinster fan, I'm very scared of facing them in the semi-final. Next, then we had Exeter 42, Storm 17. So Exeter 21-0 up at half-time. There were tries from Wyatt, Noel, and Woodburn. Noel had a fantastic game for them. They then make it 28-0 just after half-time. Stormers looking very off the pace. Not sure what's going on there. I thought they would be rejuvenated with the boxers just come back into the team. They come back in, in the build-up to the Leinster game, and they were in that Leinster game, and did well in the round of 16, but then here they just look very leggy, and really just a yard or so off the pace. And again, at this level, if you're not quite there, then this is the kind of thing that happens to you. The teams just are too good for you to be not anywhere near your best and win. And then I think, by the time they got themselves on the board, the game was already done and dusted. I think, Stormers, they're actually tipped to win this one. They're the only ones that were favourites with the bookies to win away in the quarterfinals. But I don't think they really did themselves justice in this game. And again, kind of like the Sharks, they'll learn from this, they'll get better from it, and I think they'll be better prepared as well for next year. There was talk about the travel arrangement for them as well weren't the best. Like some of their players, arrived I think a day later than the rest of the squad and that kind of thing. So it's definitely something for the Stormers organisation to look into for next year if they really want, to go deeper than the quarterfinals in this competition. Exeter showing a lot of fight in this season competition. They also had, that extra time against Montpellier and won on the try countback, and they scored it to death in that one as well. So, like, they're kind of, I'd say, out of the teams that made the semi-final, they're probably the outsider. I'm pretty sure they are the outsider, but still, they're showing that they're very dogged and they can stay in games. And this one, like, they got a great start and they didn't kind of take the foot off the gas unless Stormers, meant to come back either. Finally, then on the Sunday, we had La Rochelle 24, Saracens 10. So this was a tighter affair than the other quarterfinals, but La Rochelle, they never really looked like they were going to lose the game. They were 16-3 up at half-time, and given how the game was going, that felt like a very, very big margin and a big hill for Saracens to climb. Carvalho got himself 2 tries, and his second try in the second half pretty much killed the tie as a contest. I thought Bottia was amazing for La Rochelle, and Sarries, they got that try through Maui, but it didn't really spark a comeback for them. Again, they kind of found it hard to break through the La Rochelle defence, even when they did get themselves in some decent positions, but it was, a lot of the time you felt that La Rochelle were comfortable in defence against them. La Rochelle, showing why they are the champions, and that forward pack with Skelton, Antonio, Wardy, and Aldrit in it is just scary. Right, so let's look forward now to the semi-finals. So the first of the semi-finals is Leinster versus Toulouse. That's in the Viva Stadium in Dublin, Saturday 29th of April, and the kickoff is 3 p.m. BST. So both teams in great form coming into this one, and I think this would be a very worthy final. I think it's a kind of a pity that they're meeting at this stage, but again, like, I think all teams at this stage are quality anyway. But I think whoever wins this one is probably going to go on to win the trophy. Leinster at the Viva, they might have a bit of an edge in terms of, it's not their home ground. I know people complain about, but why do Leinster get to play in the Viva in Dublin? But you have to remember, it's still not their home ground. Like, their home ground is the RDS, and even though it's just up the road from them, still it's not the same as being at home as well. So they may not have, they may not have as much disruption as maybe the La Rochelle where they're going, but still it's not a home game for them. And then we've seen as well in the Viva, away sides can travel in numbers and sometimes make more noise than the Leinster fans as well. So that's something, especially with Toulouse, could happen at points in the game as well. So bear that in mind when you're watching the game as well. But also, I think with Toulouse, that I don't think they're going to be phased with having to travel to the Aviva. I think they are very comfortable on the road going to Ireland, especially the Aviva, or to Thomond Park, or up to the Kingspan Stadium either. Like, they don't seem to perform the way you expect French teams on the road to perform. I think they just have that little bit more than most of the other French teams, and I think it's going to be an absolutely cracking semi-final. The other semi-final then is La Rochelle versus Exeter. It's in Matmut Atlantique in Bordeaux. It's on Sunday, the 30th of April, and kickoff is 4 p.m. BST. So these are two teams who've been really tested so far, and I think they're probably more battle hardened than the two in the other semi-final. La Rochelle, they had to come back against Gloucester with that last-minute try to make the quarterfinals, and then Exeter, also in the last 16, had that mammoth extra time battle against Montpellier, where they also had to score in the last minute of the extra time to get themselves through on the try count back rule as well. So two teams who, can really stick in there and know, won't panic, I think, if they get themselves behind, because they know that they can make opportunities to come back into the game. I think home country advantage will probably just edge it for La Rochelle, but Exeter, again, they proved that, you write them off at your peril this year in this competition. The winner is probably going to be the underdog in the final, and that's kind of weird when you think that, La Rochelle, defending champions, and if they do reach the final, it's going to be the third year on the bounce that they've made it there. But I think that's pretty much the reality of the situation. Okay, so that's the end of this video. I will have a wrap up of the Challenge Cup out. It's either going to be out later today or tomorrow morning, depending on when I get a chance to, put all the information together for it and then record that one. And there will be that stats video for the Champions Cup coming out tomorrow as well. And then we're going to have previews for URC and Women's Six Nations from Friday.